Welcome back to the Fuck My Work Life podcast.
Welcome back.
This is our official episode number 1.
Yeah, the grand intrale episode.
Did you just make that word up?
Probably.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm sure someone's used it before. And
Maybe.
if not, well, I'm just original.
If you say so.
So this episode is titled Legends of the Fall.
That's right.
These are going to be some of the stories we got about workplace falls.
Workplace accidents, mainly falls of some sort.
Stuff falling.
Yeah, all kinds of falling.
Yeah, falling.
Have you ever fallen at work?
Yeah, I've fallen at work before. Nothing major.
No.
I've dropped stuff at work.
What did you drop at work?
I had a job when I was 19. I had a job at a motorcycle shop, and we had a bike that the mechanics were building. So first off, I was the shop bitch. All I did was change oil, change tires, and sweep and wash the bikes after the real men worked on them. And there's always rallies, there's always like motorcycle rallies and motorcycle shows.
What's a rally?
It's like a motorcycle show. But
it's like a bunch of people gathering with their motorcycles?
Yeah, they'll call them like Harley rallies, or where everyone rallies together. And
they just hang out and look at each other's bikes?
Yeah, look at each other's bikes, and there's vendor booths and all that stuff there. So you can there's swap meets where people will bring like a bunch of used parts and sell their used parts at these things. And
so kind of like a motorcycle farmer's market.
Pretty much. But at these shows, there would be like competition builds where different shops would all be given parameters on how they have to build this bike. And it would, be like one model of bike that they would have to build, like custom paint and chrome parts and painted parts. And, and it would be like a build off, where all the different shops compete against each other. They give them like a year to do this build. And our shop they entered this build for the next year, and you buy the frame and they send the frame out. The frame gets painted or chromed or whatever, powder coated. And we had this frame powder coated, and it went up in the top of the shop. There was like a landing at the top of the shop, and it just sat up there until all of the other parts were done. And then once they were done, they would pull everything down, put the bike together, go to the show. So they had me because I was working with old fat men. It was a Harley shop, and they weren't going to climb up in the landing. I don't think the landing would have held them. I'm 19. I probably weighed $140, maybe. And so I climbed up there, and they had me get this frame down. And
I'm nodding my head like the listeners could
see that. So they had me get this frame down, and I got the frame. I got it to the edge, and the landing was 10 feet in the air above the shop. Like the floor of the landing up there was like 10 feet up. And the frame is probably 5 feet long. So I'm trying to hold this frame over the edge and hand it to 2 or 3 people down below. And they have a hold of the other end of the frame, and I let go of the frame, and it just teeters right over and falls into the floor. Luckily, it was powder coated, it's pretty tough. So it just got nicked in a few places, and those places were going to be covered up by the fender or the tank or, saddlebags or something. So it wasn't too bad, but me being 19 and them all being in their 40s, 50s, it was my fault.
Neither of the guys down below could have caught it?
No, because they were both grabbing one end. Oh. So when I let go of
I see.
The other end, the weight of it just teetered over and fell.
Well, you're lucky they didn't hurt anyone, I guess.
Yeah, it didn't hurt anyone. I got a ration of shit.
Whoever powder coated that frame was hurt a little in their soul.
Well, they sent it out to be powder coated.
Oh.
It wasn't us who powder coated. They sent it out. But yeah, it was. I caught a ration of shit for like a week for that.
At least you didn't get fired.
It was all my fault. No, I didn't get fired.
That's good. I'm trying to think if I've ever had a work accident. Nothing major. I think I would remember that. There was one time when I was working for a fast food restaurant, and we had to, if people were dining in, we had to bring their food out to them. And was bringing this family a tray of food and tripped, and their entire tray of food went scattering across the floor. Luckily, like, food didn't fly into anyone's face or anything, so that part was good. But I was definitely embarrassed, and I think I ended up just going home after that.
Did all the patrons clap? Because I know
No.
that's a thing when, like, you're at a restaurant and you hear a bunch of crashing.
Yeah.
Everyone claps.
Luckily, there wasn't too many people in the dining room at the time, but
Yeah.
most people were just like, "Oh, honey," it helped me. But it could have been worse, I suppose. If it was a full dining room, I'm sure it would have been a better reaction.
Yeah.
That's the only one that I can think of for now.
Well, that's good enough.
Yeah. Do you want to read our first email submission?
Yeah, you want to get started?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one is called Drywall Fiasco.
Sounds fun.
When I was in my 20s, I had a job doing pest control. It wasn't your typical pest control job spraying houses for roaches and the like. I drove around to new neighborhoods in the process of being built and sprayed the bottom 3 feet of the frames with a thick syrup-like substance to prevent termite infestations.
Syrup-like substance.
Yes. The construction workers hated us because our chemicals would make the foundation and frames very sticky, and it smelled like shit. Do you know what the foundation and the frame is?
Yes.
All right, I'm just checking.
Like, is not common practice? Like, wouldn't the construction workers be used to something like this? I mean, I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't know. I don't think the construction workers were used to something like this. So, because they hated us, they used to pull all of their tools up to the edge of the framing when they were working in that area, so we would skip over it to not ruin their tools. After a while, the construction company started to complain to our company that the job was not being done properly. When we told them what was going on, they promptly told us, "Fuck them. If they don't move their shit, spray it." They also let the workers know this will happen if they play these types of games. That's pretty good, because that's like...
So I guess the construction company doesn't own those tools?
No.
Oh, you have to, like, have your own tools?
Yeah.
That
When
sucks.
you're a construction worker, you have your own tools. You pay for your own tools.
Wow. Interesting.
Of course, this did not go over well. It actually resulted in a few fights with cops being called and that whole jazz. It was great. Anyway, being the savvy workers that they were, they knew that the construction companies were not concerned with tools that they did not have to pay for, but they would not be happy with building supplies that they did have to pay for.
Oh, so they're saying, like, instead of putting their tools up there, they're going to use stuff that the construction company owns?
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing they're going to pull, like, bags of concrete or something up to the areas where they want to work, because you spray a bag of concrete and you ruin that bag of concrete.
What assholes.
Yeah.
Just because something smells bad? Put on a mask.
Yeah. So we pulled into a job site one day and noticed that a good portion of the houses had stacks of drywall leaned up against the interior of the framing. And wouldn't you know it, it was every house that was on our list. What could we do? So we had to go around to the houses and move all this shit so we could do our job with the construction workers watching and laughing. Fucking pricks. It's funny, even as adults, how petty.
Oh, yeah.
How petty and, like, passive aggressive and just shitty people are.
Yeah, I keep nodding.
You know, and it's like, what are these guys supposed to do? Like, they have a job to do. I know the construction workers have a job to do, but what are they supposed to do?
I don't know.
Just not spray the houses? You know, like...
Children. What's the difference between men and boys? It's the price of their toys.
Yeah,
but I know women can be very petty, too. Everyone can be petty. Humans are petty.
Yeah, very petty. So, me being the dipshit that I am, I would take the drywall and move it to one area and stack it against the framing, so when I got to that area, I could just lean it back and spray behind it. If you know drywall, once you get a few sheets stacked together, it got pretty heavy. This worked for a while, at least a few months, until it didn't.
Uh-oh. Ooh.
I was making my way through the house, and as I leaned the drywall back to spray behind it, I lost my balance and grabbed the only thing I could to steady myself. Yep, I grabbed the teetering stack of about 8 sheets of drywall.
Oh, no.
It came falling back towards me, and all I could think to do was try to jump to safety. That didn't work. I ended up on my back with drywall pinning me to the floor from the waist down.
Ouch.
It sucked. I should mention that when we showed up, the workers would scatter, so there was no one there to see me like a bug under a shoe screaming and flailing my arms trying to shift the few 100 pounds of drywall off of me. This also did not work.
I didn't realize.
I could see it.
I didn't realize drywall was so heavy.
Yeah, drywall's heavy. I mean, I'm guessing one sheet of drywall, like a 4x8 sheet, is probably 40 pounds, 40, 50 pounds, maybe more.
Yikes.
So you get 8, you're looking at, 400 pounds.
Jeez. I mean, I don't know how this is going to end, but hopefully they didn't break anything.
I laid there for what seemed like an hour, but was only about 10 minutes until my coworker came to find me. He laughed his ass off while pulling one sheet at a time off of me. I was not seriously hurt except for my pride and a few bruises. This was a story that was brought up to me daily by my fellow coworkers. Every meeting they would do impressions of me laying under the drywall, flailing my arms about. Luckily, I did not get any nicknames.
That's surprising.
I couldn't imagine. That would fucking suck.
Yeah.
Drywall's heavy.
Yeah, he's lucky he only came away with just bruises.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yikes.
He's lucky he didn't break anything.
Oh my God. Guys are such dicks too.
Yeah.
Just making fun of him.
Honestly, with the fighting that went on between these guys, I would not be surprised at all if construction workers were fucking watching this happening and just saying fuck it.
Again, so petty.
Yeah.
Somebody's hurt and in need and they're just like, you make my construction site smell bad. I don't like you.
He said like they would get into fights and like cops would have to be called.
Well, didn't he also say they would just like sit there and watch too as they were spraying stuff?
Yeah, as they were moving all of the drywall out of the way, the construction workers would just watch.
You're just cracking a beer.
But I mean, are you surprised? The stigma behind construction workers, they're fucking assholes, I mean, at least in the movies they are. They whistle at all the girls.
Catcalling.
And rape and pillage.
Oh, wow. Those are Vikings, not construction workers.
Same thing.
Oh, okay. Well, that was a good first falling story.
Yeah.
All right. We want to hear another one?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many we got today? 3, 4?
4. So this is the second one. There isn't a name for this one. And I'm just going to have a disclaimer that any names in the story have been changed or omitted for anonymity. That's a fun word to say. Anonymity.
Anonymity.
I'm not going to spell it. Okay. The first story that popped into my head was when I was walking out of work, heading home to change and go to a get-together. I was walking by the rose bushes and stopped to smell them, like you're supposed to do, right? And well, I fell into them, like my full weight on the roses. That is painful because those things are
that would suck.
Thorny.
Yeah.
Oy. I got up as quick as I could, assessed the damage, and continued to my car. There are cameras everywhere at work, and I'm sure there's still a tape somewhere of my close encounter with the roses. So I get home and realize I'm bleeding. My arms are all scratched up, so I decided not to change my shirt and head to the get-together to allow myself time to stop bleeding.
Fucking send it.
Wow. She is dedicated to that party.
First of all, that's what you get for stopping and smelling roses on your way out of work.
Oh, man. I just love it, though. She's like, I'm bleeding, but I got to get to this party.
Hell yeah. Happy hour, baby.
Hardcore. So I get to the party, and I'm chatting with some people outside. No one says anything about my scratches. Then my friend comes out and asks me about the scratches. So I told him what happened and immediately regretted it. He started laughing and stuck his head inside the door and yelled, "Jen fell in the roses at work." That's a good friend.
Oh, what a dick. I think we know a few people like that.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, she's sitting there scratched up and bleeding. Eventually, people are going to ask what happened. She also has another little tidbit. I also full on sat down in a planter walking backwards out of work talking to someone one day. They probably have some sort of gag reel of my escapades.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. I mean, where I work also has cameras, and I'm sure there's lots of fun dance parties that they could just
I'm sure
being an idiot.
I'm sure they watch the cameras all day and just laugh at the stupid people.
Yeah. I like that story. That was a good one.
Yeah, that one was good.
All right. Let's hear our next one.
This one is called The Bird. When I was a teenager, I worked in a very busy deli. Normally, my day would start with me using one of those huge industrial slicers to cut up the meat and cheese for the sandwiches. This is already going bad.
I'm frightened.
Why anyone would trust a 17-year-old who was probably almost always high, it's getting bad, to put their limbs anywhere near a very large, sharp spinning blade is beyond me. But it was the early 90s, and looking back on it, I'm pretty sure my boss was smoking weed in his office on his breaks as well. So he gave 0 fucks.
Yeah, I think like the 90s.
Best boss ever.
Also, I think the 90s, they still didn't give a shit about like workplace safety. They're just like, fuck it. Give the kid a big, huge, sharp thing to do stuff with.
Yeah. One day, I'm slicing up some turkey breast when my coworker, like a fucking moron, sneaks up behind me to scare me.
Oh, no.
I jumped and my foot slips. As I try to catch my fall, my middle finger goes right into the blade.
Oh,
that's the worst finger to cut.
Oh. But like just finger cuts, they throb so much and they hurt like hell.
And especially, have you seen those spinning blades?
Yeah, I've had to use one once.
They're fucking large.
They're insane.
I was in shock and couldn't bring myself to look, but blood was spewing everywhere, and my idiot coworker had to rush me to the ER. I'm guessing he was driving under the influence.
Hope not.
I would think so.
Was everyone just fucking high?
It seems like
deli?
Everyone was high in this deli. Luckily, it only sliced the very tip off. Oh, that's it. Just the tip.
Yeah.
Just
you don't need the tip of your middle finger, right?
No, people still get the meaning.
Yeah.
But they bandaged my entire middle finger and told me I needed to keep it elevated as much as possible. So for the next few days, I happily walked around flipping everyone off. I had a similar situation when my hand went into one of my tools in the garage. It was, remember that? It was my middle finger. And I basically, because I don't go to the doctor because I have a penis, I basically just wrapped.
That was an eye roll for you listeners.
Yeah. Well, I'm used to it.
Is that the one where I was on the phone with my mom and I was like, he just cut his finger off?
Yeah, you were freaking out.
Well, there was literally blood everywhere.
Yeah.
I hope they at least
I still
threw out that turkey breast that they were slicing up because I'm sure it was covered in blood.
Hell no.
What?
Yeah, I still don't really have a bunch of feeling in the tip of that finger.
That was another eye roll. Oh, workplaces are scary, man. Okay, our last story is called Office Jerk Takes a Tumble. So every summer during college, I worked in an office that sold various things through a catalog. It was a huge office with several departments. Most people were kind and down-to-earth types. However, not the salespeople. I think we talked about that last episode. Salespeople.
Yep.
Dicks. Sorry,
yep.
I'm sure there's lots of very nice salespeople out there, but usually they're very pushy people. That was a very bold generalization, so again, I apologize. Anyway, one in particular was a loudmouth, chauvinistic jerk. He'd come into our part of the office to brag about his sales, what perks he got, and make derogatory comments, usually aimed at me because I was the youngest there. They always go for the weakest ones, who can, not stand up for themselves.
Yeah, but what happens when they go after those weakest ones and they're not the weakest ones?
Oh, and then they just crawl into a corner and cry because they can't take it.
That's the best, when they go after someone who looks all meek and mild, and that meek and mild grows horns and just fucks their whole world for the day.
That's the best. So in our office section, we had high-backed chairs on wheels, which were a pain to sit in if you were short. I'm short. I had to do a little hop backwards to get into it. One day I hopped a little too hard and heard a pop. Oops. The portion of the chair controlling the recline had broken. It didn't matter for me because I never leaned back as it was too deep and they were getting new office chairs at the end of the summer anyway. That same day, Sales Jerk came in to brag about something while I was sorting invoices at the other end of the office. He blabbed on and on about some great thing he did, and as he did so, he planted his behind in my chair. Sales Jerk was about 6 feet tall and muscular. He leaned back with his hands behind his head and soon did a backward somersault and landed on his ass.
Good.
He sat there shocked while I demurely sorted my invoices. That was the last time he came into our section.
Good.
That's karma.
Little humility.
Karma.
Never hurt anyone.
Smacking him in the ass. I can picture that too. That just reminds me of something that Dwight would do from The Office or something.
Yeah.
The workplace can be a dangerous place, everyone. Be careful while you're out there.
That's right.
You don't want, we kind of like the stories, but we don't want any of you getting hurt.
No.
If you have any other fun workplace injury stories, please send those in. Maybe we'll do another episode like this.
Oh, I'm sure we'll get more. Workplace injuries, workplace falls. Think of how many people you hear like falling down the stairs at their work or slipping in the bathroom.
Accidents.
Ooh, forklift accidents. That would be good.
I imagine any kind of like warehouse job, you're going to have all kinds of crazy accidents and fun. We want to hear it.
Yeah.
We like to hear your pain.
Yeah, we do.
Oh,
it's fun.
It's fun to share it and just be like, hey, we've all been there in some way.
What was your favorite story today?
The
rose bushes?
They're all pretty good. The rose bushes were pretty funny. I don't know. They were all pretty funny. They all lended themselves to pretty good visuals.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite?
The rose bush story. Yeah. Just because, if you're going to be that hippy dippy and be leaving work and stop to smell the roses, you probably deserve to fall in them once or twice.
I disagree with that. So thank you guys for listening.
Yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for sending in your stories. We're getting more stories. Hopefully, once we get this thing going and get more episodes out, we'll get even more stories.
Yeah, because we love sharing these with everyone. New episodes will be released every Wednesday, so please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts so you don't miss out on those. If you're liking our show so far, remember to rate and review. That really helps our little podcasts get out there and get
please
noticed.
Rate and review.
Yeah, it's amazing how much that helps.
It only takes a few words, even if you don't like it. Which, fuck you if you don't. But
everyone's entitled to their own opinion. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at FMWL Pod. And if you have a great workplace story and you'd like to share it, email it to fmwlpod@gmail.com. And thanks again for listening.
Yep. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.